I do think, to be frank, I would never say this to them, but it's like, well, you try writing something.
Sure.
That's
You
basically
try
what she
getting
said,
a movie
yeah.
made. Poor things, how about poor me for having to watch this thing? Okay, let me just get out of the way. Great for you. You got a movie made. You wrote a script. This is fantastic. You won awards. You got nominated. Yeah, Halloween H2O from first draft to release was about a year and a half.
Okay.
Wow.
And that was with like a lawsuit in between Dimension and Mustafa's company.
Okay.
Can we be friends? 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 Can we be friends?
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Can We Be Frank, where the whiskey may be on ice, but the talk is always straight up. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. It's Oscar season. Oscars were just this past week, depending when you're watching it. Could have been a little bit before, but we want to have a little bit of a frank conversation about what we thought of the Oscars and the ceremony and all the great films and maybe not so great films of Oscar season. So, but before we get into that, I want to do our warm-up topic, and it's Oscar-related.
Oh, good.
So it has to do with Emily Blunt's dress at the Oscars. Now, I personally, not into fashion, don't really care whether it looks good, is fashion forward, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But what happened was apparently there are a lot of people on the internet that really care about these things.
Of course.
And as they do, one of those fashion bloggers put the dress on Instagram, and all the people opened up and commented on it, whether they liked it or not. And Emily Blunt's stylist, and she clapped back at them with sarcasm.
Never feed the trolls.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, but here's what really riled me up and where I'm going to be frank.
Okay.
My understanding is that a lot of the comments she replied to really were fairly constructive criticism of comments just like, I didn't care for it. It was a miss. Not quite what I'm looking for in a dress. It was confusing to me. And Michael attests to this while we were watching it, her straps floated up above her dress, which is
while you're talking, I'm going to look it up.
Okay.
It was very interesting.
It was
a choice.
It was a choice, and it's fine. And I'm not into fashion. I don't really care.
Emily Blunt.
Where I'm riled up is that she took back to give people a hard time about constructive criticism.
Yeah, and you posted on an open forum where you're welcoming feedback, or should be welcoming feedback, right?
Yeah, and so my question to you is, A, how do you take your feedback on something like that? And do you think it's right to get upset about constructive criticism?
Well, go ahead. You go first. I'm taking
still
in the
looking
dress.
Up. So,
but just so I'm sure I had the right dress.
no, they think that was an after party.
After party.
Yeah,
dress?
after
That
party.
was an after party where it did sit on her.
Yeah, that
on
one's
her-
Well,
fine.
that one's a little raised. It's a little raised. But
Okay.
No,
the other one, there was a clear gap in it.
Several
And again,
issues.
I'm not commenting on the dress. It's a creative process. Those people do a great job. But
Oh yeah, look at that.
Right?
That does sit
that
up.
one?
yes, that one.
Yeah.
You can
Yep.
see it's a clear it's a
Yep.
clear raise. But to get that worked up over people saying they don't like it just doesn't feel right to me. If you're going to post it, you have to be open to all forms of criticism.
Yeah. Now, there can be a line that people cross if they become disrespectful or rude. You're still posting on an open forum, though. So, I mean, you have to expect that you're going to get that. I don't think that's right. But if you're giving constructive feedback.
But
No, go ahead.
finish your thought.
No, that was.
Go ahead.
No.
Okay, here's the thing. How could you be constructive on something that is basically art, right? Isn't fashion art?
Sure.
So what the constructive feedback is, I didn't like it, or I
Well,
think it's hideous, or I think
okay.
the shoulder straps look terrible.
Right.
That's a good
But
point.
that's like saying that piece of artwork is ugly. I would never hang it in my house. Well, you don't have to buy it. You don't have to. But why? That's not constructive. In my viewpoint, it's an opinion, which you're right. Everybody has
But
a right
is
to,
it-
and it's a public.
Is it okay with social media in general? Is it okay just to give your opinion without backing it up? Just a flat opinion. I thought that was a miss. Let's say that's
I
the
think
comment.
that's fair.
Yeah, sure.
It's fair. That's what I thought. So I don't think it's right for her to clap back at people with what she said, because it's just feedback for you. Even if you don't care what they say and it isn't art, at least you then know, hey, there was a number of people that didn't like it. You know,
And
but I don't
people are
know
still
where,
talking about
but
it.
where do you go
That's
with
true.
it though?
You know,
from there?
people are
True.
talking about it.
And were there
so-
people besides herself? No, I'm sorry. Who was the one that was clapping back?
The stylist for Emily.
She didn't.
She's the one that picked.
She picked it, but she didn't design it?
She said, I don't believe she designed it. She wasn't the designer. She gave Emily, from what I read, a spread of like 4 dresses, and Emily picked that one,
Okay.
and that's what they went
I
with.
mean, I personally think it. I've seen some bizarre dresses at these things,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
I mean,
my
you have,
goodness.
right? Particularly like the musical.
Yep.
Awards
Very
and
eccentric,
things. To
very-
me, you know, it was nice.
It was fun.
I mean,
Yeah,
I get it was a choice, right, to be that high. Was that the main criticism? Was the
that was
straps?
the only that, and I think there was a design in the
Yes.
And the-
crotchal region,
Yes.
whatever you want to call it, region, that some people were like, oh, it was like pointing an arrow to that area. If we just would have lost that, they would have liked the dress. But that's it. But that's the point. You're entitled to your opinion
Sure.
on the internet. And I think what riled me up was she said, you absolutely have no sophisticated taste. And I didn't see you on the red carpet. That was her replying to them.
Oh, jeez.
And
Wow.
and like you know, and there was another one. Someone prefaced their opinion with, "I'm just a mere mortal who doesn't have fashion expertise," and the stylist clapped back, "Well, mere mortals shouldn't respond.
Oh.
I have no opinion on what you do."
Okay.
Well,
yeah.
then-
She's
but then-
crossing a line.
Right.
Well,
Well, not crossing a line, but why did you post it on the internet? Or like, well, she didn't post it on the internet, I suppose. Like, people are not going to like your choices.
Not always.
And
yeah.
she said later in an interview, I don't care what anybody else has to say. Well, obviously you did.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think she did anything wrong, but it's like, why are you getting worked up over someone's opinion? Now, if they were
Well-
rude and purposely attacked you and called you names that are unsavory, that's uncalled for. But
Sure.
in the social media age here, you just have to be prepared to people say they don't like it.
Sure. Yeah.
But
Thick skin.
or should people take if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all?
I don't know. That's tough.
Because
That's
let's
tough.
say
Everybody
people
should have
let's
it
say, let's say people don't like our podcast. Would you prefer that they just keep their mouth shut, or would you prefer that they post? I didn't care for this.
For me, I like constructive feedback, right? I think that's helpful for me to grow as a person.
But how
right?
often is it constructive? That's my thing. These opinions and the
Depends.
trolls are usually, it's pretty just.
The trolls, yeah, absolutely not. You know,
I have mixed feelings about this because obviously when, you know, the last film I wrote, Pray for the Devil, that came out, got kind of railed on by critics and by kind of people posting about it. And but I would never respond. I mean, it irked me, of course, because it's art, right? Sure. No matter how you look at it, whether it's a dress or a screenplay or a movie. And so, of course, you're proud of it and you're putting it out there and you believe in it. So you have someone coming in and just ripping it to shreds. I do think, to be frank, I would never say this to them, but it's like, well, you try writing something.
sure.
That's
You
basically
try
what she
getting
said,
a movie
yeah.
made. I would never say that to them. Of course, that's like the human response, but they're obviously entitled to their opinion. I think, I was joking, don't feed the trolls, but you're not going to change their mind. So why
Right.
are you arguing against their opinion? It's an opinion. It's not 2 + 2 is 5. No, it's
Sure.
not. It's 4. You moron. I mean, I don't like the dress. Okay, don't wear it. You know, don't. And I understand. I totally get who's not on the red carpet. I get that, like, as a thing you would say to yourself or to friends. But yeah,
Public forum.
I
like
mean,
that,
and for you, having movies out there where people comment on them, you know, I don't have that. We have this podcast and things like that, but I don't have a lot of stuff out for the people to comment on. You've had that before. And I know having lunch with you and stuff,
Yeah.
on a human level, it bugs you a
it
little
does.
bit.
Oh, absolutely.
But you don't dwell on it. I assume you move past it
Daily.
pretty easily.
Yeah, it's all I
Whiskey
think about.
probably helps you move
does.
past it.
It does.
You know, and whatnot.
No, but you're right. But it does sting.
Okay,
I mean, I
sure.
get the impulse to want to respond. I just, it's not. You're not going to win.
Yeah.
Because what are you arguing?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's an opinion. You either liked it or you didn't. And as long as you deliver your opinion,
Frankly.
not rudely, but
Frankly.
here's where
Frankly, yeah.
exactly. But in my head, where the line was getting thin was, where do you cross the line between being frank and curt I can come up with a dozen names. Frank and Kurt, about your reply, where does it cross the line to rude? There's obviously ones that are rude, but the line can be muddy. Just to say, I think that design is stupid, is that rude, or is it just frank?
So did somebody say the word stupid?
Ironically, on the comments to the article, someone did comment, that dress was stupid.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, well, but is that rude or just frank? That's...
But now I'm going to make the counter argument,
Okay.
which is if they want to put themselves out there with their opinion about the dress, the publicist or the stylist has every right to respond and be frank back.
For sure.
I don't think she doesn't have a right. I just don't think
it's going to
gets
get you
you
anywhere.
nowhere.
And I didn't mind with her defending it, saying that, oh, it's a choice. We were trying to push the envelope. That I don't mind coming back with that.
Have these people seen the other dresses though? Like that
Yeah,
dress
that's not
does
pushing-
not push the envelope.
Please.
The one that was in all red with the jewels. Did you see that on some? It was. You'll pull it up probably in post. But it was like for one of the music award shows. She literally was like in all red, including like a stocking on her head. It was like all jewels.
Well, Lady
like
Gaga
jewels.
went
Yeah.
in a meat outfit
That's what
the
I
one
was going to
time.
say. And who was Sia who went like with her hair? She
Well, that
always
was
wore-
the thing she just
like,
did.
did
But
her
yeah,
hair like all
you know,
weird
it's-
things.
I mean, that's pushing boundaries. I don't know that just because of the shoulder. I thought it was a tasteful dress.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but the internet,
but
I guess
again-
the internet and social media has allowed everyone to be a critic.
It totally has.
And so it has
Yes.
its benefits and its drawbacks. I think you just need to learn to take it, unless they are combatively coming after you.
But it is interesting that she chose to clap back.
Yeah.
That is interesting. And that it wasn't the designer,
Right, that's what I was thinking.
which is interesting because it's like the stylist felt the need,
Mm-hmm.
felt defensive of probably both Emily Blunt and the designer of the dress.
Right.
As a third party who was maybe picked it or helped picked it,
Yeah.
but wasn't
yeah,
artistically the
Didn't create
person who
it.
had her heart in it to defend it, which I can kind of see
Mm-hmm.
because they're probably friendly or friends, and she was just coming to the defense of somebody who she
Sure.
respects and whose work she respects. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I don't think people shouldn't voice their opinions.
Yeah, I guess the internet is for that. We just all have to learn how to deal with
It's harder
constructive
than it
criticism.
seems.
For sure.
I will say because I thought I would be like Teflon, like whatever.
but
Whatever.
you do feel.
But when the the jury comes back with like you suck,
it is hard to take.
I'd rather I remember on a film years past somebody saying it was the musical and they would want to like pierce their ears with an ice pick before they listened to
yeah,
it.
see that.
Music.
So that's a strong opinion.
Yeah,
And I know in person, you used the term the last time. I really liked it, the compliment sandwich.
Yes.
And that makes sense in a professional business setting or when you're talking to someone in person. When you have the anonymity whatever the heck it is
Yeah.
of the internet, I promise you I'm college educated, I swear.
It's been a long time. Though.
Yeah, it has been a long time, getting old. When you have that level of anonymity, there it is, can you be less...
Or animosity.
Yeah. But can you be a little bit more frank and blunt without having to give the
absolutely.
compliment?
hiding behind a keyboard, sure. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it.
But that's
people
why
aren't
they
gonna
do
say
it.
it to their
But is it
face.
okay to
No.
be? Is it?
No.
You're absolutely right.
They're not gonna
Emily
say it to your
Blunt
face.
walks in the room.
You'd be like, "Oh my God, that was
You
beautiful.
look
It was so
gorgeous.
great."
This is amazing.
Yeah,
It is different, I think.
I'm
It
sure
is
there are
different.
still people who will
But
speak
why,
in person.
why do
but-
people feel compelled to give their opinion on something
Yeah.
that's negative? Which is always
That's my
and
question.
I'm the same way, right? Like it's rare that I try to leave a positive something, a movie I like, a restaurant I like, service I like, whatever it is. I don't tend to leave positive reviews. People, I think, by nature, if they have a negative experience, run to the keyboard to give criticism. Is that human nature? Is it just we feel like it's some kind of control or?
Yeah.
One of the things for me, like an example that pops into my head where I gave feedback, which was there's a restaurant back in our hometown. They post a lot. I follow them. I love their food, but they're riddled with typos every once in a while. I'm like, well, you're
unacceptable.
trying to present that you're a professional business. And I think I may have posted something about being the grammar police or the typo police, which I get, but it wasn't that it was the first time they posted this. It was like all the time. And I'm like, if you want to have a professional, appearance, I think you need to just do a quick check. Not to say, like, if you have one typo every few posts, we're all human, that happens. But like I said, this was a continual thing and they were blatant errors. It wasn't there or anything
Right.
like that, where,
It's-
okay, a lot of people for some reason do tend to get those mixed up. But yeah, so that's an example. Like I feel like, hey, I'm trying to help you. Like your restaurant's great. I don't want other people to think this negative thing and be like, well, I'm not going to support.
But you had a means to an end. You had a point for giving
had a
your
point.
criticism.
And,
Yes.
and it's something that they could change.
Yes, that's
Right.
very true.
So they
Yes.
can move forward and say, oh, thank you for that constructive criticism. Moving forward, we'll be sure to check our typos.
Yep.
Whereas, what's Emily Blunt going to do? Like, she
Well,
can't
or
go back in
Stylist,
time
but-
and change her.
But even if it's an opinion, if you got enough people that politely said, I felt it looked off the mark, maybe raised straps isn't the fashion trend that you thought it was. So it is a good correction. You have to take it in a certain way. Maybe you can get some benefit out of it if the person could deliver it in an appropriate professional manner. Like, I just didn't like it. And if you get enough people that say, I didn't like it, it's like taking a poll. Do you like this? Yes or no? You get enough no's, you go, well, maybe that's not the
right
style
choice.
that we should do. Unless your point is to piss people off, then
But
you've
it
met
seems
the
that-
mark.
Doesn't it mean it seems like an odd thing to be pissed off about.
Agree.
I agree. I
there-
didn't care. But I did make the comment.
You did
to
make the
Mike,
comment. I
but
remember.
it wasn't
Was that the most?
No, it wasn't by far the craziest dress we saw. It just,
It was the one that people.
I think because it looked almost, well, I don't want to say almost normal. Normal's subjective, but it looked like a standard classic dress. It just had that one feature that
Okay.
felt off. Whereas if
see.
it was totally out there, like a meat outfit or bubbles or some other goofy thing like that, I just would have been like, oh, that was a choice. But this was so close to what I consider normal outfit that it stood out to me. So she certainly did her job. She got us talking
Yeah,
about it.
exactly. That's the
true.
truth, right?
Yeah.
There's no press is bad press, apparently. So
And that's probably why she decided to respond to some of these people. It just provided
to
another
continue
article.
to elevate,
It worked.
Yeah, it worked.
Well, that's a whole separate rabbit hole we could go down. You never know what people do on purpose to what end.
Sure.
Commenting back, did she really feel slighted by these people and want to comment? Or is she sitting there strategizing, well, if I make these comments, we're going to get more press.
People are going to pick it up. Her publicist is behind it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's
You
like,
never know.
You
I
never know,
never
right?
know what to believe anymore.
Yep.
The world is so fake.
Yeah. It's all a
I don't
production.
know what to
It
do.
is. That's true.
Yeah.
It's a
Anyway, so speaking of the Oscars,
Yes.
besides the dresses, I do just want to talk a little bit about what we thought of some of the films this year. Well, before we get into that, what did we think of the ceremony? I know.
Well, I'll keep mine short.
Okay.
I didn't watch it.
Fair.
I
The
kind
floor
of,
is yours.
Mike, what did you think of the ceremony?
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. I really enjoyed the I'm Just Ken performance. Ryan Gosling did a great job. I enjoyed it. Jimmy Kimmel's okay as the host.
Yeah, that's what I have on my notes here. Jimmy Kimmel, just neutral.
Yeah, neutral.
He did exactly what he needed to do. He kept them moving, and he wasn't memorable like Ricky Gervais, but there are two types of hosts.
Yeah.
There's the Ricky Gervais steal the show, and then
Yeah.
there's the host you don't even know they're hosting. And he made his goal by just being unmemorable in this one.
Yeah.
And after that fiasco where
Well, yes. that
of a
whole
couple
thing.
years back, I think he wanted the subsequent hosting gigs to be
Just
as
flat.
unmemorable as possible. But there was no big story in this one. No one went up and slapped the hell out of somebody. Or,
Right.
All
I
right.
really enjoyed the Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito bit with Michael
There
Keaton.
were
That was
some
very
really
funny. There
smart
was-
bits. The bits, there was no bit that was in the middle. Their bits were either really good or
Just missed the mark.
missed the mark. The John Cena one was very funny.
Yeah.
The streaker
Yep. For costume design.
for
which is
costume
perfect.
design was really smart, very funny. John Mulaney's ramble about Field of Dreams was funny.
Yep.
It was like weird but funny, so it worked. And then there were other ones where the Danny DeVito and Arnold
That was
Schwarzenegger.
great. That was one of my. That was my
Whenever
favorite.
you pull in nostalgia, it's almost always a win.
And Michael Keaton was perfect with the
yeah.
facial expression and the bring it on. Like,
yeah,
he's
so
a
that
great
worked
Batman.
out well. And then there were other ones where I think it was Melissa McCarthy, who I think is a very funny person. I didn't understand their
What
bit
they were
at
doing,
all.
yeah.
And I don't even really remember what they're talking about. It was that unmemorable. So it was like a very hit or miss.
How about Al Pacino at the end? You know, that whole thing. And I've read
Now he's
that
come
the
out in
producers
defense
told
not
him
to read all the
Yeah.
nominees, right?
So
Which
very
is
anticlimactic.
fine. I just, when you're a guy like Al Pacino, I bet you don't have to go to rehearsal, but that's why you rehearse things. Because they should rehearse a contingency so you know what happens when they make changes. I think he was told at the last minute, don't read them off for time. And in his head, he had been practicing it, so he didn't know how to jump from one to the other, and it was the most anticlimactic.
So
Now,
anticlimactic.
for someone who did not see this, just heard about it, what happened exactly?
Well, basically, he came out, he got a standing ovation, and which was great. And then he was like, I'm here to present the best picture. And then he just opened it and went, my eyes see Oppenheimer. And everyone's like,
That's it. I
That's
mean, even the people for Oppenheimer were like, is this
Yeah.
real? Do we stand up? Do we
Because
go?
there's-
Like there
of
was
course,
a
there's been
'cause
precedents
the,
where
the
Right.
way he had worded the rest of it sounded like he was going to introduce them all.
Yep.
And then he just skipped it. And then he unfortunately was caught so off guard, I think, that he couldn't think of a way to add that suspense in there.
right. No.
I think we have to keep the really old celebrities from
so
presenting
he didn't
awards.
say like, and the winner of Best Picture is.
No, he just said, my eyes see.
eyes.
yeah, like
see.
right after he opened it too. There was no
So
pause
his
whatsoever.
eyes could have seen one of the nominees. His eyes could have seen.
Well, a side note, and I'll put a screen grab up on, they completely changed the designs of the cards to prevent that fiasco from before. The winner, the name is much bigger and bold, and the
Okay.
name of the movie is underneath. There's a clip, I'll show it on the screen, of Emma Stone's two different envelopes.
Okay.
And on the one, they're both the same size, same font, very confusing. Whereas this one, it clearly said Emma Stone and then the movie, Poor Things underneath in a much smaller font. And at the very top, it said what the award was for instead of buried at the bottom.
I see.
So they did a much better job with
good
doing
design.
that this time.
Okay.
But I want to go out of order, but it's a segue. Let's talk about Poor Things.
I haven't seen it, so I'll be Robert.
Avert your eyes. Avert your eyes. You saw.
The first half an hour.
Do you remember where you left off?
Probably right after the first sex scene.
Well,
I got to that point and was
the
like,
dinner
oh, it's that
table
type of
or
movie. Oh, not at the dinner table.
Oh, see, I was just when Ruffalo snuck into her room, was feeling around.
Oh,
That's where I was at. I dipped
Okay.
out.
well, I mean,
Poor things. How about poor me for having to watch this thing? Who?
were you upset
Okay.
because it wasn't touted as that type of movie? I didn't
I didn't know
realize
what
that.
it was.
Okay.
And now we're talking about people giving their unsolicited opinions. But of course, I didn't tell anyone who had anything to do with Poor Things this.
Right.
Okay, let me just get out of the way. Great for you. You got a movie made. You wrote a script. This is fantastic. You won awards. You got nominated. Okay, tell me I'm wrong. You take any segment from the first half hour we watched, any segment, you don't change the script, you don't change the acting, you don't change the filming, and you make it an SNL skit. And it would totally work. To me, it was like, what am I watching? I see now. I'm going to be frank. I am a big Emma Stone fan.
Okay.
And clearly the Academy is, because she won a fucking Oscar for this.
Right, and a surprise one. I don't think she was a front runner, but was not the favored by any means. It was.
Wasn't it supposed to be Lily Gladstone?
Yes,
or
from
whatever.
Killers of the Flower Moon,
yeah.
which got shut out, by the way.
Yeah.
Which
They
I
didn't win
see.
anything. Well, I
didn't
don't
see
know
that
who could
either.
sit
Who else
through
was
3.5
up?
hours of a movie.
Yeah,
but-
crazy.
But I don't want to get off topic. But so I know it's billed, at least on Hulu, it's a comedy drama.
For Poor Things?
Yes.
Okay.
That's how it was
I
billed.
mean, I guess
they,
so.
They must understand there's.
The trailer made me feel like it
humor
was
to it.
funnier than it was.
But the minute you take a baby's brain from a pregnant woman and you put it in her head, and now she's
Spoiler
an infant.
alert. Yes, it was an odd choice. I read a lot of articles about people defending whether that's even an okay topic to do. I mean, a movie is art. I guess you can almost
Push
do
the
anything
boundaries.
within means.
You know what? Again, so my daughter's in film school at UNLV.
Okay.
So a lot of her film school friends absolutely love this film. And that's what it felt like
because
to
it's
me.
artsy?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
It feels like, oh, this is so, the fisheye lens, like the
Yes.
way the fisheye lens, and just, it was kind of out there, the black and white, the color, the, pushing the boundaries of
Almost like-
first of all, who has a zucchini sitting at the dinner table? What? You don't have a raw zucchini at the dinner table.
Well, it does feel very student. I want to say real quick because it just seems like somebody gave a syllabus for the year of all the different elements of a movie, and they decided to throw that all in one movie.
And I hear it gets worse. Part of me, just so I can speak from having seen the entire thing,
to finish watching it.
wants to finish watching it. I've heard though that it just gets more of what I didn't care for.
And just because it's not your cup of tea doesn't mean
I
that
totally agree. Absolutely,
it's fun. And this is our podcast. We can talk about it.
Damn right. But here's the thing: it made $108 million worldwide.
Jeez. That's
Got
amazing.
nominated for Best Picture. She won.
Yeah.
She won.
For
Mark
Best Actress.
Ruffalo was nominated. If I'm
I
not
mean-
mistaken.
I think so.
It won for costume, or I believe it won for costumes.
Was it?
But
yeah.
Here's what I would argue, and there's no way. Well, there is a way of knowing. There's always, this could be another topic, but People's Choice Awards versus Oscars, like which hold more weight. And I know they still do the People's Choice Awards.
They do.
I think, but I don't think Poor Things was anywhere near the People's Choice.
I'd have to review it. I didn't watch it
You
this
could
year.
put up a little correction if I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
I'll find it
But
then.
my guess is it's
It's not going to be part of the
probably
Kids'
not-
Choice Awards, though.
It's definitely not Nick's. Yeah, there won't be. She won't be being slimed. And-
Yeah,
well,
no.
she was. But
She was. I think a couple
a
times.
number of times. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little different.
But,
This is why I can't. But like, how is?
okay, go ahead.
Go on.
No.
How is it not pornography? Because it's art?
Well, I guess so.
That's an interesting
But now a
question.
movie that they say got, what do they call it? Oh, crap. What is it called when you snub? That's the word. I'm looking
snub.
Okay, what got snubbed?
for. Saltburn
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which
I
is
didn't
a-
see it. You guys
is
saw it, right?
another movie that I'm going to say is out there.
But I
Very.
heard this is more out there.
I mean, they're both in a
Yeah,
top.
I
At least
was-
according to that TikTok guy. Remember, he was like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
Saltburn was, was Disney compared to."
Maybe, but I think they
That
were
was
both very far
way,
out there.
way-
But that was
out
very
there.
critically acclaimed as well, right?
Yeah,
Saltburn?
but it's almost like if you just get props for making a movie that pushes the envelope.
Here's my challenge. Leave in the if you liked Poor Things, leave a comment. Let us know.
And
Why?
explain why. Instead
explain
of
why.
it was stupid or it was great.
Yeah.
Leave
Why?
a reason.
Give us
Give
your
us,
reason.
give us reason.
I had a very visceral reaction to it. Like a visceral. I don't like. Everyone's time is limited, and when you pick entertainment, sometimes it takes me literally hours to pick
We
what
have
I
so
find.
much
There's so
anymore.
much to watch to land on something and say, okay, I'm gonna commit 2 hours, 2.5 hours to this, and I just get
And you
angry.
feel slighted because you lost some time. And you're not actually. The thing about it is though, it's fun to talk about, but you're not. It's not going to completely ruin your life.
no.
And that people get too
Same
worked
with the
up.
dress.
Yeah, people get too worked up on these
I
things.
totally agree.
But I do understand that level of disappointment because it is hard to pick a movie. You've committed to it. You committed some time to it, and then you don't like
And
it.
you're like, oh, God.
It's your natural instinct is to complain and be you just feel slighted because it just wasn't for you.
And by the way, I think it's 97% or 92% on Rotten
Oh,
Tomatoes, which I never go by now anymore. But
Well,
I don't.
mean,
that's crazy.
It's critically. But I was saying this to my wife, to Pam. I was saying that film has always been a reflection of society, right?
Sure.
It's an art form, so it reflects kind of societal values and where we're at and what we're struggling with, and the kind of the demons we're wrestling, and so it's
The world is
clearly
certainly
that,
struggling. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
not my
Not your cup of tea. It wasn't mine, and I don't mind some really out there movies.
no.
I remember in college, and maybe I'm getting older too. Part of it,
Well-
I enjoyed them more when I
Right.
was younger. In college, I remember watching really messed up movies and stuff with my friends. The further out there it was, the more I liked it, and the more I've aged, the more I'm like,
That's interesting.
See, and I think
Not
that
my
might
cup
be
of
why
tea.
Sophie, who's about
Yeah.
to turn
Younger.
21, and her group, they're 19, 20,
Huh.
they're that what are the Generation Zoom or whatever they are.
But why is that? What does age have to do with
I
that?
don't know.
well, but it's like anybody that ages, you're accustomed to a certain way of doing things for so long, and it's up to our youth to push the envelope, move the train forward. As begrudging as it is for us that have aged, you just get tired of pushing the envelope, pushing things. I swear, the older you get, you just get tired of pushing the envelope, so you just want to continue doing it how it's always been, and it's up to
Well.
the youth of our nation to push us forward.
And I will say, Sophie asked, I don't think she was asking this sarcastically, but I do think her friends, there was an undercurrent of that, which was, well, what's your favorite movie? I'll tell you, Star Wars: A New Hope, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Schindler's List. They're like, this century, I think is what they were thinking. You know what I mean? To that point, like my top 10 movies were all, well, Mr. Smith is like from the 30s, before I was born. But if 70s, 80s, 90s, a couple in the
I would say
90s.
most of
Do
my
I have
favorite.
any favorite movies, late 90s to current? Not really.
Yeah.
Most of my favorite movies are from when I was younger.
Forrest
Forrest
Gump.
Gump. I love
Oh,
Forrest
Pam's
Gump.
Pam's. She loves
Forrest
Forrest
Gump's
Gump.
great.
But like you're right. If you were to ask me a
Like,
really,
what's a current? If you had to say your favorite movie in the past 20 years,
I mean,
Gosh.
I like The Holdovers.
Oh yeah.
but would that you consider a favorite?
That's
See,
hard to
I
say.
don't
That's
know
a
if it's a. It just was a
favorite.
good movie.
It
I've
was a
seen
very,
recently.
very good movie.
But I've seen so many bad movies that anytime a movie's decent,
Well, that's true.
That's
I
so
like
true.
it.
That's so true.
Again, Barbie, I didn't mind Barbie. Barbie was fine. Oppenheimer was fine,
I didn't
see
see
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer.
but it was long.
Yeah.
They're all long now.
Well, yes,
crazy.
which I actually have. I wrote that down. The average was 138 minutes.
Wow.
Which is 12 minutes higher than the average all time of if you average the Best Picture nominees.
Oh, interesting.
For each year. So, but last year was long as well. It's
Yes.
been a recent trend. That average is creeping up. There have been some interesting studies as to why that is.
Like a lot of people, maybe you guys are not in the generation. Avatar was their big, right?
Avatar. Yeah. Okay.
But it missed the boat for me.
Yeah.
Like maybe it is an age thing. Maybe it's what, or people now I haven't seen it, but like Sophie's generation they're saying Dune 2 is their Empire Strikes Back, right? It's
Okay.
their
Yep,
Star Wars.
I've heard.
The way
Yep.
they're talking about it, it's like, wow, this is amazing. It looks good to me. I think I would enjoy it. I mean, I feel that
Visually,
same
I
Yeah,
think
it
it's a
really
great
looks-
movie.
Did you see it?
I haven't seen Dune
Oh,
2.
yeah.
I saw the
I liked
first
the
Dune.
first one.
Again, it was another long movie. I do remember nodding off. And it's not saying anything bad about the acting. I just don't watch it at 10 o'clock at night. It's not
tough,
a movie you can
3-hour
start
movies.
and try and go to bed.
Right.
You're going to be, you've committed to this movie.
Well, I'm a Tom Cruise guy. Like, if he's in a movie, I'm going to like the movie. And that last Tom Cruise Mission Impossible was really good, but again, it was pushing 3 hours.
Long.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
they're really long.
It takes.
Yeah,
it takes
the shortest movie this year was 105 minutes. So that's
And what was that?
Zone of Interest.
Oh, I don't.
That was a British film. Not 100%. I didn't see it, but 105 is pretty short. Killers of the Flower Moon
Didn't
was
see it.
was the longest at 206 minutes.
Wow.
So that's 101 minutes of disparity between the shortest and longest.
Yeah. That's
Like a
crazy.
time
That's
killer.
just a lot to commit. Oppenheimer was a lot for me to commit, and I saw it in the. I went to out here the Universal.
Oh, the IMAX.
The
You see it?
IMAX,
Oh, nice.
but one of the IMAX that had the 70 millimeter, whatever the special
yeah,
one,
yeah.
the one you're supposed to go see it
Mm-hmm.
at. I took the time and went and saw it there, and I don't regret it, but I also, with the exception of the explosion scene, with all the exposition that happened in that movie, I could have easily watched it at home. I
Interesting.
only really wanted to see it in IMAX for the explosion scene. The rest of the court scene and an interview scene and people talking in a classroom, I could have watched that at home. That's
think
not
the-
IMAX worthy.
I think the only film in the past 20 years that like pops into my head is Inception.
Oh, Inception.
Another
yeah,
Christopher
yeah.
Nolan movie.
I really
That was
like
great.
that movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
that
never
love
was
it.
a
think it
great
at the
one.
time because as it is now, there's just a lot of like rehashed. It's
It was original.
It's
Yeah, it was
Marvel.
original.
It's some sequel. It's a reboot. It's a new timeline or whatever
All
they
of
do.
it.
Yeah.
Inception to me felt fresh, new, original, and it was like something you hadn't seen in the way it was shot. And
What
I
year
was
did that
excited
come
about
out, though?
That was like 2005. No,
Yeah.
Oh, it could be. It was a
20,
long time
19
ago.
years ago. That's crazy.
maybe later. Maybe it was more around when Avatar came out. I don't remember. But
Yeah, I don't remember
No,
exactly,
That when you ask a favorite movie, that's up there for me.
Yeah.
it was very good.
Inception.
I remember.
really
I saw that
enjoyed
at the Cinerama Dome.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
when it
that's
was
great, yeah.
open.
Well, that's
Yeah, it's,
I went out
RIP.
of my way to see Top Gun Maverick at one of the Dolby Atmos theaters.
That was a great movie.
It's important.
That's
Yeah,
a
it
good
was.
movie.
That's a good one,
And it
yeah.
was important for me to see that one in theaters.
Yeah, that's an experience.
It's an
right?
experience to the especially that opening
Oh, God, yeah.
minute with the music and the sound effects and everything. That was awesome. That was worth seeing in a theater in that type of environment. But a movie where it just talks for forever.
It's not necessary anymore.
So that's Oppenheimer. You said it's more of a talkie?
Oh, I'd say of the 206 minutes, 200 of the minutes were just people talking.
205.
There were 6 minutes of
So
the
would
cool
you care, would it, is it,
explosion.
because Pam likes character kind of films.
Oh,
Is
it's
it-
very
So
character-y.
Pam would like it.
It is.
She
It was
loved
a good,
The Holdovers.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
I like The Holdovers.
really was
I'm not
great.
as much
Paul
of a character
Giamatti's
movie
great.
guy.
Yeah.
Who is?
Paul Giamatti and the
Oh, yeah,
Holdovers.
he's
He was so good.
And what else did Alexander Payne do? He did Election, right?
what was-
with that was the first movie.
Yeah.
Sideways.
Sideways.
Oh,
That, yeah, it was like, of
Sideways.
course, with Paul Giamatti.
That's what it
Giamatti.
was. I was
Yeah.
trying to remember. Yes.
And who won? What was the supporting actress who won? What was her name? Divine.
Yes.
Divine Randolph Joy. Or
Yeah.
Divine Joy Randolph.
She was so good. Yeah, but
she-
she grew up in Hershey, Pennsylvania. So.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
a hometown connection.
Yeah, there we go.
I think she's in a show we watch, Only Murders in the Building. I
Oh,
think
is she
might
in that
also be
too?
in that.
Okay.
Oh, she might have been. Yeah.
Maybe. It's been a while. I thought maybe. I don't know.
But
Another
She-
good
she
show.
was great in
She
that
So
was
what
so
was the
great.
big? Because we're running low on time. But
Oh,
what was the big shocker? What was the big stunning win of the night? Was there one where people were?
Oh, the shot. Emma Stone was
I think
the
it was
shock,
Emma Stone. Yeah.
yeah.
because she
Okay.
was not the favorite.
Did she?
Killers of the Flower Moon
Keep
getting
the
shut out.
statue above
Oh,
the podium.
After the fact, one of the shockers was everyone was disappointed. You remember? You didn't watch the ceremony, but the dog from the movie
yes.
Anatomy of a Fall. Very funny bits, but they were all pre-taped. Even the one of him in the audience.
Oh, it was pre-taped.
They pre-taped it with a bunch of people in fancy clothes ahead of time
Oh,
to not stress out the dog.
Yeah, that's
So that
very
makes it. But people were so disappointed to realize they were deceived.
nice. Oh,
Okay, how about
please.
this? Favorite Oscar hosts?
Ooh,
Oh, Oscar hosts.
You had to look back.
Well, you know,
I hate to say it, but Ricky Gervais was just.
well, he never
Oh,
hosted the Oscars.
Oh, he
He's
never.
with
Oh,
Golden
yeah.
Globes,
Yes.
which
Okay.
I
He was my
Golden
favorite
Globes, yes.
award show host ever.
Yes,
that
yes,
was
yes.
so
That
good.
was great.
That was amazing.
And as much as I didn't like her talk show,
Ellen.
Ellen
That
was,
was one of my
was
choices.
a
yeah.
fun.
Yep.
It was
That's
a,
right.
I
It was
agree.
a
I
fun
thought she was good.
Yep.
award show.
I'm blanking on. I feel this is the Gen X mind. The guy that did a bunch of them. He sings. He was in.
Was it
Neil
when
Patrick
Harry met
Harris?
when Harry met Sally?
Oh,
Oh,
Billy Crystal.
Billy
Billy
Crystal.
Crystal.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
back
I
in the
remember
day,
him.
He
Yeah,
hosted them like forever.
He
in a
was
row.
so
yeah,
good.
he was good.
He was
That's
very
right.
He always
I
did
remember
that big
growing up.
opening song.
Yep.
But other
growing
than
up.
that, he was another one of those hosts that he moved the production along, but didn't steal the show.
Right.
And,
And that's how it should
that's
be.
what made it good. Yeah.
But he made me feel like, I don't know. He had such a love for the business that you sensed it. It made you love the business.
Oh,
Does
yeah.
that make sense?
And-
he
Yeah.
was a big showman, and you can tell he just loved it. I don't get that sense from Jimmy Kimmel
Yeah.
as much.
Yeah,
He seems,
no, I agree.
You know, I'm not a fan, but
My
Yeah.
favorite Billy Crystal moment was when Robin Williams won supporting actor for the Matt Damon movie. What the
Good
Good Will
Will
Hunting.
Hunting.
Yeah.
He was so happy because I think he and Robin were very good friends.
That's great.
And you could just the camera cut to it, and he was just so
Yeah.
happy for his friend.
Yeah.
That's
which was actually another controversial moment. They did now the presentation for all the acting awards. They brought back multiple winners from the past to present the award instead of just the previous year.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people were upset with both, I think Robert Downey Jr. and Emma Stone saying they ignored someone in the lineup when they got their award.
Yeah, I saw those.
People were
stories.
trying to start because there
don't
was
think it
5
was-
people to thank you for giving me, and you're so
Oh,
far.
And
you're
you've got to get up
so-
to the microphone
I mean,
and talk.
and you're,
Like, yeah,
it must be a blur.
there's
and it
no
is,
way.
and I actually after the fact, people were really upset. They said that Emma Stone snubbed Michelle Yeoh, but it turns out she
gave it to
Jennifer Lawrence because she knew she was friends.
they're best friends,
with
apparently,
Emma Stone.
so, yeah.
So she wanted her friend to present her with the trophy.
Yeah.
So people tried to make something out of nothing.
Always
Typical.
goes back to our
yeah.
the beginning thing where it's like if they're not complaining, they're making
Yes.
something up just to
Yes.
post something to rile people
That's
up.
true.
Yeah, I swear. It's so, But other than that, it was a fairly uneventful
Yeah, it
episode.
wasn't.
I did read that the ratings were the highest since
highest rating?
2020,
Oh,
even though
please.
Robert didn't watch. But
They were the highest in 4 years. It's still like the lowest, ever.
yeah, people.
I mean, it's like the highest in the 4 years, but
are we ever going to be as high as before thanks to the fact that I can just go on YouTube and watch the people's acceptance speeches?
probably not. I think
Yeah, I
that's
don't
a
think
big
it's-
part. Big part.
That's
of it.
why I don't watch late night television. I don't watch. Well,
TikTok.
And it was interesting. I saw in the demo of females, certain age females, it was the lowest ever or something,
Oh,
Oh,
even though they had Barbie. And they said that
Interesting.
the male viewership was up, and that's probably because of Oppenheimer.
okay.
yeah,
And
it
Chris
could
Nolan.
be.
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah, I don't.
But
And listen, we used to host Oscar parties.
yeah.
Oh, we'd have big Oscar parties, Oscar cake. We'd have like, like the pool. People would
Yeah,
guest,
well-
and then we give away DVD and DVD player.
Wow,
And
you went all.
DVD. We
Well,
went
I
all
remember
out.
your family Christmas party is always great too.
Yeah.
You guys, when you do a party, you do it
do a
right.
party.
So that would have
Yeah.
been fun.
We had Survivor parties.
Oh no.
We did
Oh,
when they
90
first
Day
started.
Fiancé
okay,
parties.
I was- after
We
a
have
while,
not had 90 Day Fiance parties, although we might have a housewives party. I don't know.
But what was your moment? Do you remember your moment when you were like, I'm done watching the Oscars? Or just you too busy now? What?
No, it's not busy. It's jaded.
Okay.
To be frank, I think I don't know. It's become, I think, over the years.
Well,
I think when you were, and see, I'm going to get myself in trouble. I don't mean this in a way. How do I say it?
I can bail you out here. You
Well, wait.
said, okay, go ahead.
Bail me out after I say something
Okay.
stupid. I think that this kind of, there's just so much going on, and maybe I'm just more aware of it, right? When you're in your 20s, you're not aware of it. You think, oh, the glitz, the glamour, let's give each other awards. And then there's like so many bigger issues. Like we don't televise for reasons that are absolutely known, like Best Plumber Award, Best Electrician Award, Best, UPS Driver Award. Like, it just seems very self-servicing and a little bit.
A little bit. And I think to bail you out, what I was going to say is you gave a great example earlier. The people that are presenting, the people that are even involved, don't seem to have that same love of movies as they did before.
Yeah, there's just something
It's-
missing. It's a whole other topic,
Yeah.
but which we can get to in another episode.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my questions,
Great.
my secret topics,
A
we'll deal with
teaser.
this.
But yeah,
Pay attention.
yeah, I feel like it's just lost kind of the glamour for
The
me.
luster.
Yeah, the luster.
I was okay. I enjoyed it. It was, but I
You
enjoyed
know where?
it.
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
no,
No,
go-
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go
But
ahead.
this is where it started, Derek. This
Okay.
is where it started. Star Wars, 1977, Best Picture, right? This is like the biggest blockbuster. This is groundbreaking. This is like blow your mind movie. Invented the blockbuster against Annie Hall. No, nothing against Woody Allen. Actually, I do have some things, but that's a whole other topic. And Annie Hall wins. Like, the Academy's always been,
Yeah.
to me, not the people's choice, which is fine. I understand they're trying to maintain a certain art. I remember when, anyways, there's been that throughout the years. There's always that film that people want to win,
Sure.
that kind of touches a chord with the world sometimes, and then the Academy feels like, no, this is better. This is art. This is what we aspire to be.
Yeah, I guess so.
Anyways, you were gonna say.
No, a very similar comment. I was thinking about the Lord of the Rings did win. I thought that was a very popular movie, but it's not like we see Marvel movies
Right.
nominated for. And there's a huge debate as to whether they should even be considered. Like, is it like an art? Is a Marvel movie the art type of cinema we reward at the Oscars or not? Except for the sound awards or something like that.
I mean, yeah, I guess. It
Are you?
depends on-
I guess it's coming down to what's the point of the Oscars: to reward the most popular picture or to reward the most artsy picture?
Right.
I don't know.
But that's where I argue why I don't watch,
Okay, fair enough.
because I don't. I myself don't want to make art. I guess it is in just its nature,
Sure.
film. But I'm more interested in making something that is entertaining and commercial and appeals to the largest group of people.
And resonates with
And
more people.
resonates, yeah, and it entertains and gets people lost. And, I mean, Star Wars, like I said, was huge for me as a kid. So I think, it might be Dune for people. Like,
Sure.
and now that they nominate 8,000 best movies,
There's
it used to be
10.
3 or 5 when I was
Yeah,
growing
I think
up. Now
it's been 10 the past.
they're
couple.
able to kind of at least put in the Barbies and
You can put them in there for what it's worth, but that's
and
all
then
you
they get shut
there.
out
Yeah.
except for best song, right?
Yeah. Barbie didn't win a whole lot.
I think it
No, I
just
don't-
won.
Yeah, just Billie
Billie
Eilish.
and then Killers of the Flower Moon got shut out.
Yep.
Anyways,
But it was okay time. I enjoyed it because we did Can We Be Frank pool and an Oscar
that's
pool.
right.
And
Paul
it
C.
kept me honest.
Paul C. won.
Oh, that's right. I'll have to
Shout out to Paul C. Whoever you
great
are.
guesses, or maybe you had some insider knowledge. Hard to say. It kept me honest this time because I always, when watching with other people, tell them right before the award, I'll be like, I think such and such is going to win. But to be able to put it down ahead of time really kept me honest this time.
Yeah.
No, I really thought this was going to win, and I didn't. I think I come in like fifth. I did my best. But it made it more interesting watching the ceremony
It does.
when
Yeah,
you're
it's
when
true.
you're something riding on
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Great. Well, that was our discussion on the Oscars 2024. We want to do our question of the week.
Let's do it.
From our
Forgot about that.
From our
Yes.
student friends.
Yes.
At Lancaster Catholic High School, Mike and I's alma mater, we had students write down questions they want to hear from people that have worked in the industry. We kind of tallied them up. We try and pick one each time. Autumn's question is, how long does it take to get to the final product of a film?
Oh, God.
Well, it depends on where you're starting.
Yep.
Like what you're starting from.
Okay, well,
We're
let's do
starting
two.
from-
And I know as a writer, so I want to start at the very beginning. Because you had mentioned in one of our previous episodes your experience with Halloween H2O, it moved very quickly. Your
Yes.
experience with Pray for the Devil was much different. It was a much longer process.
In large part because of COVID.
Oh, that didn't help
Yeah.
as
That's
well.
true.
So it was fast considering that.
Okay.
Yeah, Halloween H2O from first draft to release was about a year and a half.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
And that was with like a lawsuit in between, between Dimension and Mustafa's company,
Okay.
Trancas
yeah.
International, that lasted a few months. So incredibly fast. And I remember an executive, Richard Potter at Dimension saying to me, this is not how it works. Like,
Right.
this is not the usual pace. Don't get spoiled by this. This is your first movie. You know, this is how we do it, but this is not how it's usually done. And he was right. Everybody's experience is different. Some scripts are in development and turnaround for 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, wow.
But typically, once a film is picked up, so a studio is truly interested in it, there's some development time, then there's pre-production, then there's production, then there's post-production. It could be anywhere, probably a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years,
Okay.
I would say on average. Pray for the Devil was 4 years, but largely because of
There were some COVID
from
issues.
first draft to release. Well, and it was in the can, it was done, it was finished for over a year before they released it.
Yeah.
So that was an
Kind
anomaly.
of a,
But I guess I would say to Autumn, 2 year average, maybe.
Well,
if
that
you're not
makes
counting
sense.
development
Yeah,
and all the
development's a
time
whole-
with the scripting, that can go on.
and financing.
Yeah,
and
but once you have a
finding,
director aboard and things are really moving, then
Yeah.
then it does go relatively quickly because time is money. Is that
Sure,
they wanna
It-
get
it-
that's very true.
time is money is really the key. Working in animation on series, you don't realize the amount of money it costs to make even a week delay or 2 week delay.
Sure.
Everything is so contingent upon getting it done on time financially, because you look at it and think, well, what's a week? Well, a week could be 25 people on a payroll for an extra week. That adds up.
It's a lot. Yeah.
And the productions that I've worked on, we move very quickly. That was the type of service that we provide. It's a very quick moving, but there are some animations where they have a higher budget. The creative control wants to take their time and go slowly. They'll noodle with storyboards. They'll noodle with animation for forever. And if you have the money,
Sure.
they'll do that. You could draw out the process significantly. But even for a series of 30 half-hour episodes, it's probably a 2-year process. That on my latest
in.
one with Nickelodeon, nothing. When you're doing that many of them, you don't realize there's so many steps involved.
That's the thing.
From concept to the final, that it's not an overnight thing.
And
it
how
does
many
take
people
time.
are weighing in at those steps, right? Like you're not just getting notes at the end, you're notes at the script, notes at the storyboard, notes all throughout the process. of the
production,
things that you need.
post-production
Yep.
notes, and then the difference between a movie like The Holdovers and Avatar 2, right?
Right.
Oh,
and
yeah.
all
The
that effects
CGI
heavy, how
and
long that's
everything.
going to take. So
Yep.
that could be
Yep.
years in post-production.
Yep.
Because those guys are painting out frame by frame.
Insane.
Insane,
That's nuts.
Yep.
What they can do. But yeah, I mean, so I guess it depends on how
It
much money you
varies.
have.
Yeah,
So to answer
money-
your question is how much money you have
Time and money.
and how much how quickly you want to get it out there.
Yeah.
And production value, I think. Yeah.
For sure,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
production value. I know. And speaking of COVID, we'll wrap up on this. They did do some very quick turnaround ones, some animation, because you could do it segmented. So it was one of the few mediums that could continue entertainment-wise. And I know they did some really, really fast turnaround animation, but that's an exception, not the norm.
Sure.
It was purposely done, and it was a lot of work to get the turnaround to be that. Unless you're South Park, those guys turn around an
yeah.
episode in 2 weeks. But again, they're the exception, not the norm
Sure.
for most things. But
Cool.
yeah, great question.
Thanks, Autumn.
Another great episode in the can. As Robert said, please feel free to comment. We enjoy feedback, unlike some stylists.
Positive feedback only.
Yeah, preferably positive.
No constructive criticism.
Yeah, no constructive criticism, nothing like that. It's all positive, But seriously, like and subscribe, like, share, do all the normal YouTube stuff. If you're listening on any other platform, share it there somehow.
Spotify,
Spotify,
Podcasts.
Apple.
Yep.
You can listen to it on your car ride into work,
Yeah.
especially if you work
16 miles away, but
16 miles away. It
hour
takes you
and
an
a
hour and a half.
Yeah, it's
You
LA.
have plenty of time to listen
Ridiculous.
to our podcast and plenty of other ones. Which, real quick, I'm going to wrap up on, just like the one guy mentioned in his Oscar speech about supporting some lower budget films,
yes,
having more low budget films and less blockbusters. Support some of the independent podcasts.
yes,
Listen,
that's a great point. We
There's a
should.
lot of
good
people
point.
putting a lot of great content out there, like us. So don't always just listen to the Joe Rogans and the main ones. Give a listen to some of the other podcasts out there.
Yeah,
We'll end on that note. So
Very good.
awesome.
great talking to you guys.
You too.
Let's,
Cheers.
I haven't finished mine.
cheers.
Oh, I have to give you one. Good thing. Cheers, Derek.
There's a drop in there.
Can we be frank? Can we be frank?